Hello, and welcome to Variety with me, Adam Sternberg. On this podcast, I get to chat with a variety of amazing performers. We get to hear how on earth they ended up with such remarkable professions. We get to hear what goes on behind the scenes, the challenges they've faced, what's inspired them, what happens when things go wrong, and whether they've ever thought about giving it all up and having a normal 9-to-5 job.
It's variety.
I am pleased to introduce one of the UK's top magicians, who is both a comedian and magician and has performed all over the world. He's also been involved in a number of TV programs, both in front of and behind the camera. And also, he taught magic to the head of the wizarding world itself in the guise of Jude Law as Dumbledore in the Fantastic Beasts films. So let me introduce Pete Heat to the podcast. Hello, Pete.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for that lovely intro.
That's very good. Can we start at the beginning, actually, Pete?
Makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. We'll get to the end, hopefully.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up?
So I'm from Coventry. I was born in the Midlands, which I don't like to talk about.
Is that the centre of magic, do you think?
It's the centre of the universe.
The centre of the universe.
Yeah, no, not huge on the magic scene in Coventry, but that is where I was born. And then I lived around there for a while. Moved to Germany for a few years, but that was almost like a little blip. Yeah, I lived in Munich in between the ages of 8 and 12 when my dad got a job out there. But then I was back to the Midlands where I lived in Leamington Spa. Do you know where that is?
I like Leamington Spa.
Yeah, I like Leamington, yeah.
Good teas in Leamington Spa. So were your parents into performing, or did you get any inspiration? Was your dad a secret magician who shit?
Not at all, actually. So my parents, I mean, they are supportive, bless them, but they're not really into magic. And so my dad's a computer programmer.
Oh, that's magic in a way.
Yeah,
I think that's magic.
Yeah, and he's a really good sort of top computer programmer. And my mum is not from a performing background at all. But my uncle is a magician. He's never done it as a job. He might have done a few paid things over time, but he's never done it as a job. But he used to come around at Christmas and show us. So I'm one of 4 children. He'd show us some magic tricks, and I'm a very analytical person. I want to know how things work, but I also love the other side, the sort of more artistic side of things. So magic for me is a perfect blend of those two things. Puzzles but also sort of artistry. And I got obsessed with these tricks, and I pestered him until he taught me a couple of things, and that was the start. That was the start.
So he was sort of your inspiration?
Oh, massively, yeah. He's still around. We still send each other little videos if we find someone doing a cool trick online, and they'll be like, "Have you seen this?" So he's very much an inspiration, and I'd really look forward to a visit from that particular uncle.
What sort of age was that you were starting to do magic?
I was probably maybe 6 or 7. I was very young, and I remember the first thing about it is my sister coming into the room where I was and going, Uncle John's just rubbed a coin into his arm and it disappeared. And I was sort of like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And I think that was the first I'd ever seen any kind of magic. I was like, what? No, he hasn't. And then she brought me through and he did it again. And it's basically a trick where, you get a coin and you rub it and it just sort of melts into the skin of your arm and it's gone. And I was just absolutely blown away.
But there isn't I'm sure you know this, there's a universal appeal, isn't it? Isn't there, to magic? And it's interesting. So I've got an 18-month-old grandson. Okay, so I put, a train under a cup.
Yeah.
And then divert his attention by looking over there, remove the train from the cup. And it's gone. Yeah. And then he tries doing it.
Oh, but of course,
so even at that age, there's something mysterious going on that you don't quite understand.
Definitely. And I think at that age as well, you're not that familiar with the real rules of the universe yet. So you when they get broken, you're like, is this a thing that can happen? Is that?
But that's the thing though with magic in general, is you are challenging the rules of the universe.
Yeah, true.
Can this really happen?
Yeah. Is this a thing?
Is this a thing?
Yeah.
One of the magicians I met at the Magician's Table, which is one of the places you perform, which actually is an amazing place down by London Bridge, which is very interactive. I was getting to speak to a magician who told me that certain magicians, and I don't know what your view on this, believe that true magic somewhere does exist. Have you heard this as a thing?
Yeah, so you said this, and I don't really know what they would have meant by that.
Maybe they were
really.
just trying to create an aura for me that this actually wasn't a trick, but actually it was genuine magic, and I just needed to.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, there are certain things, like obviously reality is a kind of nebulous thing anyway. So magic is shifting reality from the perspective of one person, if you know what I mean. But really, all of this, everything that you perceive is only happening in your own head anyway. So you can change reality, I suppose.
Well, no, I suppose that's true. Then we get very philosophical.
We do.
Very philosophical.
Yeah, but so I wonder if
which sort of dimension are we on? Sort of thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, before we get too deep,
no, sure.
Can we have that picture of Pete aged, I think, 16? So I'm just going to describe this picture because some people will not be watching. So this is you aged 16, was it?
I think it even says somewhere. Yeah, I think it probably is 16. 16, yeah, it is.
19. It says 1999.
Yeah.
And your haircut's very
disgusting.
Good.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you describe it, but you've got one hand, you've got your pack of cards all spread out, and you got your sponge balls, and that was a competition.
Yeah, so I joined this magic society in Leamington Spa, and entered their competition, and I was the youngest ever person to win the competition, and so I got interviewed by the local paper, and that's me on the cover of the paper. And interestingly enough, my first job was working at Tesco on the checkout when I was, I guess 16. And I was selling people that very paper. And I was on the checkout and they were buying it. And then they'd look up at me and look down at the paper. Is that you? And I'd go, yep. And I go, okay, cool. Congratulations.
Bought their stuff and moved on.
Yeah, exactly.
So you won that. And then in terms of paid gigs, when did paid gigs start?
Yeah, so I did a couple around then. But one of my other uncles was really into those cars, 2CVs. And he had something to do with organising this 2CV rally, which is like a big event in a field somewhere. And he got me, I think, £50 to do some tricks in one of the tents there. I think that was probably my first actual kind of, but £50 back then.
Well, a lot of money.
It was
money. And then at what point did you decide that you didn't want to be in Tesco for the rest of your life, that magic was going to be your thing?
I knew before I even started at Tesco that I did not want to be there for the rest of my life. So that was, that was while I was at school. And I always thought magic might be a good little job to have. I didn't know it was definitely going to be my career forever, but I always thought I could probably make a job out of this. But then, so I went to university and did English.
Oh, very sensible.
Yeah,
very sensible. So you could have done something sensible.
Yeah, exactly. And I always thought I'd be a writer probably, or a director. I was interested in filmmaking and directing and writing, and so I didn't really do any magic at university unless sort of asked specifically about it, because I didn't want to be known as just that magic guy.
Pete the magician.
That
magic guy.
Hey, so what have you got for us? How's tricks? And so I just kind of put it, I didn't want that to be my one thing that I did. So I think one thing with magic is it's quite often the preserve of quite a certain type of person, which is someone without any social skills.
It's a good way of acquiring social skills. Well, it's a way of
faking it.
Introducing you.
So I think it appeals to people who are sort of insular and kind of nerdy enough really to want to practice this stuff, but also they kind of to need that as a social crutch, right? I think
that's very interesting. Because you're right, and going back to what you said, there seems to be two types of magicians of which you merge the two. There do seem to be those geeky types who are very into like the not the theory exactly, but the discipline, as opposed to the theatricality of it.
Yes, like they can do a perfect, every card move ever invented perfectly, but they can't entertain anyone. But yeah, I didn't want to be just the sort of the nerdy magic. I wanted to actually have friends who were my actual friends.
And did you manage that?
I did, yeah. It was great. I had a great time at university, actually. But then, when I came out the other side, I started kind of falling into magic jobs, and eventually it became clear that was the way my life was going.
By falling in, you must have...
I did put some effort into it as well. I kept getting very lucky. So I worked, as I just told you before we started recording, I used to work as a camera assistant. Yeah, so I've always been into cameras and stuff, and I got a job working on, the children's TV show In the Night Garden. It's like Teletubbies. It's made by the same people. So I worked on that, and I made 100 episodes of that in the woods outside of truck for the Navy.
See, that's something I never knew about
Yeah,
you.
no, not many people do.
No one knows it.
And so I started to know a bit more about cameras, and I met camera operators and people like that. And I persuaded one of the people I work with to make me a little sort of show reel, a sort of street magic show reel. That was it. So I'd go around the streets in London, around Brick Lane, and kind of, the cool bits of East London, and just film me
Going up to strangers.
Yeah, going up to strangers and doing magic.
Because that's obviously now sort of a thing, isn't it? A lot of people do that, but then it must have been quite a new way. It
was. So David Blaine had done it on TV, but the internet was still pretty new. And so YouTube was not that big a deal yet, and there wasn't much magic on YouTube. So I made what was, by those standards of the day, quite a professional magic video, because I had professional camera operators and editors. And I put it online, it was like 2007 maybe. And it did really well. It got like a couple of 100,000 views very quickly. And I got a phone call from a TV producer going, "Oh, I've just seen your video. I only put it up a few days ago. I've just seen your video. Do you want to come and do a TV show in Northern Ireland?" And I was like, yeah. I mean, I didn't even have a business card at this point. So I was just like fast-tracked into success, really, because I had this episode of a TV show. Dynamo had an episode of the same series. It's before he was as famous as he is now. So I was out in Northern Ireland with Dynamo and a few other magicians making this TV show, and I was like, I guess I'm a magician then.
So was that sort of the turning point?
I think so, because then I had the website, I had this new show reel, I had clips from this TV show. I had, it suddenly seemed like I was way more established than I was. And it put me at a slight advantage over people who'd been doing it for way longer, because it'd be like, well, this guy's been on TV. So, yeah.
Which is an advantage, because obviously there are loads of magicians out there. And when you start, it must be hard, because there's people out there who've been doing it for some time and who everyone knows.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, I think I was quite lucky. And also, I think in a sort of cynical way, really, I think I had quite a marketable look at the time. So I was...
Okay, can I... Yeah. Because you're seated here, it's a little bit difficult to tell, but you're feasibly... Well, certainly the tallest magician I've ever met. Are you the tallest magician ever? In the Guinness Book of Records, but the tallest magician.
Taller. There's a German guy who is like, I don't know, 6'9" or something, huge. But yeah, I'm 6'7", which is tall enough. But you
actually hold it quite well. It's not. You don't look like a...
one of those guys.
Yeah. One of those.
No, that's good.
Hello, Pete.
Yeah, that does make me stand out, obviously, which is obviously a good thing in entertainment. But also, I was very much of the kind of indie kind of new rave generation. It's around 2007. All of my friends were in bands. I was up till all hours going to these club nights.
So you're like the rock and roll magician.
That's what. Yeah, I got this quote from someone who worked at NME calling me the rock and roll magician.
Did they?
Yeah,
I just came up with that myself. I should be a journalist.
So I put it on my website, and that was it. I think quite a good thing to do. I remember some TV producer once said to me, like, TV is a medium of cliche. And I think what they meant by that is you just want to be very, I'm this thing. I'm the rock and roll magician. You want to give them a label.
A name.
Yeah.
As opposed to the very tall magician.
Yeah, exactly. Or like the corporate guy. Like no one cares
magic
about.
Man,
yeah.
Yes.
So whenever, exactly. And so whenever they do those TV shows with a few magicians on at the same time, they always try it. There's the gothy one, and there's the, there's the
so everyone's got their individual.
Yeah, I'm the nerdy the Rubik's Cube man, and the girl one. There's typically one girl.
We'll get back to that. We'll get back to that in a minute. So you've obviously now been doing it for some time, and as you said, you do close-up shows, you do stage shows, which I've been lucky enough to see. Can you say, has there been any magicians themselves who've been inspirations to you? Can you say? Yeah,
definitely. So we briefly mentioned David Blaine, who in I think 96 or maybe the beginning of 97, he came out with that Street Magic special, which I think for me really kind of got me back into magic after a bit of a lull. I think, it was like magic can be actually, I always knew magic was cool, at least cool from my perspective, but magic, he suddenly made it cool from everyone else's perspective as well. It's like, this can be a cool thing. It's not just some bow tie man sort of showing off at you. It's like, it's this cool, interesting, slightly eerie thing. So I think that was a great moment when that came out. And Darren Brown. So these are all kind of household names over here. Like, Darren is so smart and so interesting and so funny. I don't know if have you ever seen any of his stage shows? Right? Yeah. I mean, I think he's he's world class. Like, true. Like, we're sort of lucky to be existing in the time. I think in the future people will look back on him as one of the absolute greats. So Darren's brilliant, and then there's various people that are less well known, but that I've just seen, say, interacted with over at the Fringe or over my career. I mean, one person that we both have in common, Martin Rowland.
Yes.
So a lot of people listening probably won't know Martin, but he's like magic's best kept secret. Brilliant magician,
and a
lovely guy, super funny, super creative. And I think just knowing people, like I've got a little network of magicians now that we hang out quite often after years of not really associating with other magicians. I've got friends now in magic, and he's one of them. And yeah,
because there does seem, and tell me if I'm wrong, that there's a lot of competition's the wrong word, but maybe even backstabbing within the magic world of people accusing of nicking each other's tricks. Is that?
Yeah. That's definitely a thing. Yeah, so it can be very supportive. I suppose, like any industry, it depends who you're talking about. There are some real egos, some real narcissists in magic, and again, I think it kind of relates back to that thing maybe of people being slightly shy and nerdy, and then finding they've got this thing that gets them loads of attention. And I think they get kind of a bit addicted to it, and they believe their own hype. Like, yeah, I am the best guy in the world. Actually, you're right. Actually, that's you get some. I mean, I won't name any names, but there are some nasty people. Like the people that write fake reviews, like negative reviews of other magicians. Like I've experienced that on like when I did Edinburgh Fringe shows. There's a bit on the Edinburgh Fringe website where audience members can leave reviews. Yeah, there's a guy who regularly leaves reviews under assumed names. He's been caught out a number of times.
He's a magician.
He's a magician. Well, yeah, I mean, barely. But yeah, and he does quite well because he's good at marketing. But he's literally, I think, a sociopath. You know, like, there's a few people like that, but largely
everyone's supportive.
Yeah. I mean, and also you can choose who you hang out with, obviously. And I've got a really good little network of people now, and they've all worked on things like on Darren Brown's shows and Dynamo's shows, and so now if I have an idea for something, I'll kind of kick it around with them, and it just gets polished and turned into something great very quickly.
Tell me the process of developing a new trick. How does that start? Where does it start?
So there's kind of two main ways of doing it. One way is to come up with the concept, but with no idea of method. And I think that's probably the best way of doing it, or I found. So, for example, you go, how cool would it be if I could push this glass of water through the table, or whatever it is. Like, it's just some random idea. Or you think, okay, we're doing a Halloween episode of this thing. What's the spookiest thing we could do with whatever? And so you have just the idea itself with no concept of method, and then you just start sort of working away. Like it's quite funny because the end result is something that's literally impossible, but you have to go, well, how do we make it possible? And because obviously you're not actually trying to do an impossible thing, you're trying to do something that looks impossible. So you think, well, how do I make it look like I'm doing that? And you start, or like, you know, Dynamo walking on the Thames. I think that was just a concept, like
how am I going to do that?
And then you think, well, how would I do that? And you think, well, okay, so one obvious thing would be, and I'm not going to go into how he did it, but one obvious thing would be, well, you've got to have something to secretly stand on, right? And then you think, well, how do I make that not look like that's the method then? And maybe, so like, I don't know if you've seen that clip, but there are boats going past him as he's doing it. So you think, well, why aren't they hitting this thing that he's supposedly walking on? But the boats are obviously part of it. They're part of what sells the illusion.
In a way, the techniques are all the same. It's also a diversion. No, that's the wrong word. What's the word when you're getting people?
Yeah, misdirection. That's a big thing.
So whether you're doing a big thing or close up, misdirection, whatever it is, there's still the techniques that you need to use in order, I presume, for the trick.
Yeah, misdirection is a massive thing. So, yeah, exactly, just getting people to look where you want them to. But that's not especially when you're doing stuff for camera as well, you can't misdirect a camera really. So you've got to do other things as well. Like, say, if you want to make something disappear, like say you want to make a coin disappear, you just have to sort of work through logically. So what are the things that could happen? So either the coin gets secretly moved, and you think, well, how could that happen? Maybe with a strong magnet that pulls it outside. Maybe it's on a thread. Maybe the coin stays where it is, but it becomes invisible. So maybe it's got a flesh-coloured thing on the back of it that you turn over and it's hiding in your hand. Or maybe, you know, there's basically all these, you just have to just work through this sort of flow chart and you just try things out and you go, that one looked kind of interesting. And then you refine that a bit.
So it's sort of a game almost between you, particularly with close-up, you and the audience member. So you're trying to trick, and the audience member knows he's being tricked and is trying to work out how you're doing it. and you're trying to do it in a way that they can't work out how they're doing it.
And you can often use that against them a bit because they were looking so hard, they're trying to catch you out. You know that the moment you do something that looks slightly suspicious, they're going to be sort of zooming in on that, and you think that's when you do with the other hand. That's when the other hand does the dirty work. So you might sometimes deliberately look suspicious at one point, just so they all focus on that, and then not the actual the actual move which you've probably practiced, so it doesn't look suspicious.
So can I ask you, I mean, I presume from time to time things go wrong.
Yes.
What do you do when things go wrong?
I think we're at quite an advantage as magicians because there's that sort of trope in magic of it's gone wrong, but oh no, it hasn't, and actually look over there. So I think if something does go wrong, let's say you're thinking of a card and it's the 7 of diamonds, but I pull out the 3 of clubs, and I've just got it wrong, right? But from your perspective, you're probably thinking, no, go on. Where is it really? Is it under my pillow when I get home? It kind of gives you this extra bit of time to sort of try and think on your feet and work something out as an alternate resolution to the trick.
So you're going to have to be continually thinking on your feet.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
It must be, because even when things go right, you're faced with audience members, particularly close up, who you can't control, who are unpredictable, who could do anything.
Yeah, exactly. And someone will make some joke, and the laugh comes over something that you needed them to pay attention to. So you have to sort of undo the move and then wait for them to start laughing and then do it again while they are watching. And all the while, like you say, it might go wrong anyway, in which case you're having to sort of, often you're keeping track. Say you're shuffling a pack of cards, but you're keeping track of a certain card and you're doing some move to get it where you need it to be, all while trying to talk and not be staring at your hands. You don't want to look like you're trying to work something out. You want to just be nice.
So the whole thing appears easy while your head's working very hard.
Yeah. So often, as you know, the gigs I might be performing just for an hour or two of mingling, but I come away from that and I'm exhausted. I feel like I've done a full day's work because your brain's just been kind of burning away like the whole time. Yeah.
Don't know if you remember, but I think I told you many years back that I didn't like magic, actually. I've changed my view.
Have you really?
I have changed my view.
Oh, nice.
But I can't remember who said, someone said to me that told them more about me than the magic. So people's reactions to your magic, you must get used to certain types of people and the reaction.
Definitely, yeah. You get people that, but a lot of people love it and they go, oh, magic, and they're so excited. Or people that are sort of healthily skeptical, which I think is fine. I'm literally wandering up to people and go, hey, I can do the impossible. And they're like, sure you can, buddy. But then you get people that hate it and I hate and they even say stuff like, sorry, I hate magicians. Like, cool, thanks, lovely to meet you. But I think often that's this sort of almost like control freak personality. Like, I can't have anything I don't understand. Or often it's people that they think they're kind of the alpha in the group and they're busy entertaining and holding court. I'm talking about close-up magic particularly.
Yeah.
And then so my job, as you know, is to come over, interrupt them and start showing off for a bit. And they were quite enjoying being the one that's showing off and being the loud voice in the group. So they really resent the interruption and they don't care about the stupid trick, and they're doing everything they can to try and make you either look stupid or just stop and go away. And so it's quite an art to sort of handling that, because I have to. I'm being paid to be here. I have to do, especially at a small event. There's maybe 3 groups of people. I can't just not show these guys anything. So I have to handle it and try and turn it around. Either get them on side or get everyone else against them. Do you know?
Have you ever had it where, because people could be very drunk, for example,
Yes.
in which point logic goes out the window and it can become an uncontrollable situation, I presume.
Yeah, I've had that. And so, sometimes it's just a lost cause and you think, like, in a big enough event, you just think, I'm going to wander off and leave you guys to it. Or you just really dumb the tricks down and it's just literally anything that has a slightly longer plot or arc to it gets out the window. You just do the most basic, here's the thing, now it's gone. Here's the thing, now it's changed to a different thing. Or like this thing's levitating, or something that they can understand without putting any thought into it.
How, for you, because you do both close-up and stage show, do you have a preference?
I do really enjoy close-up magic, and it's what's paid my bills for the last God knows how long. But stage shows for me are where I'm most alive.
And I would agree. I mean, I've seen your stage show a couple of times, and I think it's amazing. What it reminded me of, and I think I might have mentioned this to you before, is Tommy Cooper.
Oh yeah,
actually. I mean, obviously he was a big guy,
Yeah.
but also it's that sort of surreal nature and that sort of quite complex and not loads of different tricks, all sort of resolving at different times. Not so linear that you would expect it, which I find it's almost has a narrative to it. Actually,
yeah, I learned a lot of that from. I've got some comedian friends. In particular, there's a guy called Colin Holt who's a brilliant comedian. If you haven't seen him, but he has a real sort of art to when he puts a stand-up show together, where with like lots of little callbacks throughout that link everything together, and then everything comes together at the end. And that's something that I really try and apply now to my stage shows, because it makes it feel so much more satisfying as an audience member, I think.
Yes, that all the tricks somehow combine at the end.
Yeah, and you think, so there was a reason for that,
rather than just random tricks. So would you say in the years that you've done it, have you ever regretted doing it? Have you ever thought I'd wished I don't know, been a teacher with an English degree or done something?
Not really. There's one thing that I've slightly sort of regretted in a way. And I think when you do something as sort of basically passionately and fixatedly as I have done magic for the last few years, your brain kind of becomes a machine that comes up with magic tricks, and just that. Like, I used to be interested in, well, I still am interested in everything, but I do a bit of writing. I'd write a song, I'd write a poem, I'd paint a picture, and I'd make these weird little magazines that I'd self-publish. And I think more and more, if I see something new now, I go, oh, what trick can I do with that? And I sort of wish, in a way, I was less specialised. Obviously, it's a double-edged thing, because in being very specialised and niche, that's how you get successful at something.
Yes, no, I think that's true.
But I kind of do try and broaden myself back out, and I'd love to be doing a bit more of the other stuff still. And I know I still can. There's still time. And I try in my stage shows to put other stuff in. Like, I don't know, I think in one of the shows that you saw, I had this ridiculous recipe book that I published with all
your recipe book.
Surreal recipes.
I think I tried one.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
And I just spent some of the show just reading out these insane surreal recipes. But that was just literally because I enjoy writing that stuff, and I didn't want to. And so I just thought I'd put that in there. Just so I'm not just this one note magic person. But no, I do on the whole. I think I've had a really fun and interesting career. I've traveled around the world with it, and I travel like this week alone. I was in Zurich. I'm in Jersey tomorrow. I was in Tuscany last week. I was in so I'm just always all over the place, which is quite fun.
I think what I've learned from all the people I've spoken to so far, it is hard work. Whether you're a burlesque performer or an aerial artist or a magician, it's not, you don't just rock up. It's you put in all the work preparing, but also the performance itself takes a lot out, as you say.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it is work. But luckily it doesn't, because I really enjoy even dissecting why it didn't work that well. You know, so say if I had a show that was okay rather than great, I quite enjoy right, how can I sort of tweak that trick slightly, or did I not really sell that did I not emphasize that word in the punchline enough?
It's quite subtle, isn't it?
It's tiny
within a
detail.
show. Yeah, quite subtle. Do you still practice?
Yeah, I do. Especially, I try and always add new tricks, because I have people that book me every year for things. I don't want to turn up and be like, "Yep, here he is with his 3 tricks again." So I always try and add new things, and then in doing so, you're learning maybe new moves or new things which you can then maybe also apply to older tricks and go, "Oh, that thing would work well with this thing that I already do." So I'm always refining routines and making them like at the Magician's Table, the show near London Bridge you mentioned. I've been doing the same kind of table set since last September, so for a year now, and I'm always changing it very slightly and going, "Oh, what if I said that line here instead of there with that?" And, because you do the luxury of doing something so many times, as you can get it just exactly right. Yeah. Which is another good thing about doing the Fringe as well, actually, because you do the same show every night, and by the end of the run, you're really polished, and you cut out all the dead space. Yeah.
At this point, Pete, I like to do something where the performer I use shows me something.
Yes.
So rather than show me some magic, which actually had a question on magic. We're always led to believe that the magic circle doesn't like people showing the general public tricks.
That's correct.
And that is correct? Or is that just
that's correct. They don't want you revealing secrets, because magic is just built on secrets, really. And you think you want to know, but
Actually, you don't want
often when you know, you go, I
it's a bit
preferred it when
I didn't know.
it was just in his other hand. I preferred it when it had disappeared into another dimension.
Fine. But I completely agree with that. And that's why I'd like you to teach me how to shuffle a pack of cards, which I'm pretty appalling at because I'm pretty cack-handed, but I thought that would be something you could show me how to do.
Let's do it. So are we going for a full riffle? One of those things?
Yeah, let's go for it. If you just demonstrate first how to do it. Okay, pack of cards.
Okay, it is indeed
52.
a pack of cards, 52. So that's what that looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, so a riffle shuffle. What it looks like is like that. It's pretty complicated. I don't know. But, it takes a while. It took me a while to, especially this last.
What's
part
that last bit?
So that's what we call the waterfall or the cascade.
Can you do it very slowly?
Yeah. Okay. So first
half pack, two half packs.
Yeah. So I'll teach you obviously in more detail. But so those are getting interlaced. So they're coming off your thumbs and getting interlaced like that.
Yes.
The thumbs are going to this sort of overlap area in the middle. And the fingers are working their way underneath.
Yes.
And you're bending everything down with like a little rainbow.
Yes.
And then when the fingers come away, in theory, and you slightly loosen up, it all starts to kind of cascade in on itself. Easier said than done, though. Or there's another shuffle, which is just like an overhand shuffle.
I'm going to try at least the first half.
Okay, the mic wants to move like so. Look at this incredible.
It's magic.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, I'll talk you through this again as you're going to hold it in your right hand.
Yes.
With your thumb on top.
Yes.
The faces will be facing sort of that way.
Yeah.
It's going to be sitting on these three fingers.
Yes.
That finger's going to be bent behind.
Yes.
So it's going to start like that.
Yes.
And you're going to gradually release about half
Yes.
onto the three fingers of the other hand.
Yes.
That finger's going to come in behind.
Yes.
You're going to pivot it up, and they're going to be now. It's harder to do slowly. Now they're kind of mirrors of each other.
Yes.
And then that's when you get into this sort of position. But anyway, we'll talk.
Maybe
you through
I'll
that
just try that.
You know what? Let me grab another pack of cards out so I can show you.
Oh yeah, that'll be easier.
As I'm doing it, because otherwise, probably have. Okay, right. Just that.
So I've got this. Yes.
Okay, so we're in this kind of position.
Yes.
With your finger bent behind.
Yes.
And that's going to be able to give you sort of some power to sort of.
Yes.
So then this hand is going to be like this. So just one finger separate. And you're going to. Yeah. In fact, you know what? Bring it in a bit closer to them so it's not having to fall so much. So you see how I'm literally touching it onto.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this finger's going to come in the
Yeah.
gap.
Yeah.
You can put it in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're going to kind of try and pivot it up and put your thumb on top.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, yeah. So ultimately you're in this sort of
Yeah.
Exactly. And now you're going to sort of first of all angle them more into a sort of horizontal position, even more actually.
Yes.
So
I'm in this.
So you're in this position, and we're going to start releasing them from the thumbs in a kind of but tilt them down more first. Yeah.
That way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there we go. We now have.
I think I've just been sacked.
We now have a thoroughly shuffled pack of cards.
I think my father called that the 52 drop.
Yeah, 52 card pickup. Yeah,
52 card pickup. That's the
it,
52 card pickup. Sorry about that.
No, don't worry. There we go. So now, I mean, they are shuffled. They are definitely shuffled. So in a way,
I did the job.
To be honest, that took me a long time to learn. So I would have been very surprised if that.
Thank you very much. Well, maybe if you don't mind, then if we could just move on from shuffling.
Sure.
As I've decided, it's maybe possibly not my forte.
Fair enough.
And maybe if you could demonstrate a trick, would be lovely.
All right, let's do a trick.
I'm looking forward.
So this is, I know. So this is a trick this trick has basically paid my rent since about 2007. It's a trick I've done more than any other trick, I'd say. And it looks like this. First of all, if you would take a card, Adam.
Yes.
I'm gonna look. In fact, I just realised there's a screen there. I'm gonna look at the floor so I can't see. But if you, just grab a random one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me know when you've got one. Have you got one?
Yeah.
Are you sure you want the 10 of diamonds? Okay. Is that what it is? That's a lucky guess. That happens sometimes. You know what? All right. Well, seeing as I've seen it, let's go again. In fact, let's go with a different one. But also, they are all different, right? They're not all the same. Okay, so take one more, and we'll do something kind of similar, but a bit different. Is that the 10 of diamonds again?
Look.
That's so weird. Okay, you know what? Actually, I guess we're using the 10 of diamonds. It's if I give you a pen, Adam,
Yes.
can you sign your name on the face of the card, like nice and big, so
Yep.
that it will show up on the camera?
Yep.
Perfect. I'm going to take that. Thank you. So that is now a pretty distinctive card. So here's the trick. I'm going to try and do this to make sure you can see. If I kind of put that about there, would you say that's about halfway?
Yeah.
Roughly?
Yeah.
My job is to find it, obviously.
Yes.
And I'm going to bring it up to the top so that it's up here. Let me show you that again. Watch. So it's going to start about maybe halfway in. It's going to jump to the top, so it's up there. Now,
That's amazing. How did you do that?
It's magic.
Magic.
But if I do it again, but this time, if I leave your card sort of sticking out slightly from the pack so we can see the signature.
Yeah.
And can I get you to push it into the pack so you know it's actually going in? Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. And it's not on top because it's in my mouth. Yeah. Probably. Thank you very much. That probably looks less good on camera. Actually, let me show you. Let me show you one more thing with that. So this is a sort of exposed view. If I take your one and give it a little bend.
Yeah.
So now it's pretty
Bent.
Pretty bent. Yeah. And the reason for that is you can see roughly where it is, even once it's closed. You can see the line about halfway up.
Yep.
So you're going to see the moment that this happens. Watch. And
That's incredible.
it's your 10 of diamonds.
That's
There we go.
incredible.
Thank you.
And what I like about that, now that I love magic,
Yes.
you know, now that I appreciate, it's just how simple it is.
It's exactly, that's what I like. It's simple, it's repeatable. Normally you can't really repeat a magic trick. That's one of the big rules. But with this, the whole point is that it keeps happening and you keep looking closer and closer. So the repetition is sort of part of it. So it's a kind of a classic trick. Like loads of magicians have a version of that trick, but it's just one that, it's literally, it's taken me around the world.
Well, I'm not surprised, but also because it's so simple, it's almost hard to hide anything. It's like...
Yeah, it feels like you don't look away. There's no, and it sort of transcends language barriers as well. Like when you have international jobs, like people can just see, I get the concept. It was in the middle, now it's on top.
So that's quite an interesting thing. Do different nationalities have different approaches or reactions to magic?
Massively, yeah. Like one thing is, so I've done some work in Bahrain, right? And I think a lot of sort of Islamic countries, in Islam, there's a thing called haram, which means sort of like basically bad. And there's a more nuanced meaning than that. But magic is one of those things that's classed as haram because in Islam, I think they genuinely believe that there is a thing like that uses evil spirits to accomplish magic. Like that's a thing. So they use jinns, these type of genie, demon things. And so magic is very much not allowed. So we had to call ourselves, me and another magician, had to call ourselves illusionists, not magicians. You'd never say you're a magician, you're an illusionist. I'd go out there and I'd do a trick and people would react and be clearly enjoying it, but then they'd have a little hushed discussion and then sort of, sometimes they'd say things like, we're not sure we're allowed to enjoy this. Like, are you using, how, like not everyone would be saying this, but people, they'd get their prayer beads out and some of the older guys would start praying because they think they'd seen something they weren't supposed to see. So I think that different cultures have, that magic is a very real part of their sort of, either their beliefs or their religions or whatever.
But even, I don't know, have you ever performed in Japan or?
I haven't performed in Japan actually, no. But so say America, people they're way louder. A lot. They're more wary at the first because I think magic in America is largely something that you'd have at a kid's party. So like a magician, really, and
That or Vegas, I suppose.
Yes, exactly. Whereas to the other end of it. Yeah, so you get in New York, you get these kind of magicians that they're either like we do kids' parties and bar mitzvahs and whatever, or they have to do this sort of, I'm an artist, and very sort of pretentious kind of, no, it's grown-up magic, and everyone goes, oh yes, very good, very good. So you can't, there's sort of no middle ground. So that's the thing over there. But then the reactions in America, like everything Americans do, bigger and louder.
Bigger and better.
Yeah. England's got this sort of, people recently have started liking magic in England, I think, after the sort of Paul Daniels thing died down a bit.
So I was going to ask you about that. Where do you think we are with magic in the UK at the moment in terms of how much of it there is and whether people were into it?
Yeah, I think the sort of generation that's around now that is at events, they grew up with maybe a bit of Harry Potter. So Dynamo was on television. They watched Derren Brown through their lives. And so Dynamo's not around so much anymore. Derren's still doing shows occasionally. But they've seen good magic and they get that it's not just some sort of cheesy sequin kind of thing, so I think people have a lot of time for it, more so than they did when I was first getting into it, when magic was it was a bit of a joke, basically. It still is that sometimes, I think people.
But you're right, though. It is less so, though, isn't it? It's sort of seen as a theatrical thing. It's not just
like, it's quite cool, magic. Oh, yeah, I like a bit of magic. Whereas before it was sort of, magicians, they're a bit weird, aren't they?
They're a bit weird.
Yeah.
But then that gets me talking about Paul Daniels, and before him, what was it, Nixon?
Oh, yeah, David Nixon.
David Nixon. So when I was growing up, shows how old I am, there was a lot of TV on mainstream television, and we meant Tommy Cooper and others. Now there seems to be very little magic on TV.
Yeah, so there's Britain's Got Talent, which has about 1,000 magic acts, but they're all very sort of weird. Like, the producers really get involved, and like, we want you wearing a mask and having that's when people get to see quite a bit of magic. And then social media's got a lot of magic on it. I don't know if it's because I'm a magician, I get pushed all the videos by my algorithm, but there is a lot of magic on social media that I think people I think it does quite well because it goes viral. Because
so more
people
that
watch it again
than mainstream.
Yeah, like I can't think, is there even anything on mainstream TV at the moment? So Netflix has got the Justin Willman, who does this Magic for Humans thing. Have you seen that guy? It's quite good, actually. It's still feels a bit too TV magic for me. Like, there's a lot of cutaways, and you think, well, they could have done anything. But he's quite a likable guy, and it's quite funny. Like, he has comedians as guest writers, so they help him come up with quite funny premises. There's one thing which, if you haven't, people listening, if you haven't seen this, something called the Carbonaro effect. I don't know if they're still making it, but until recently they were, which is a hidden camera thing that they make in America, where it's a guy who he dresses up as either a store, like a worker in a shop, or a staff member in a museum or whatever, and he just shows people weird stuff but pretends that it's completely normal. It's like, have you seen this new invention they've got? And it will do some absolutely insane thing because it's actually a magic trick. Like, for example, it just duplicates any object. Like, what have you got? You got a phone, and it splits it into, whatever. Like, there'll be some crazy thing that it does, but because he's not presenting it as a magic trick, people are going like, what? And that's just how? And it's $10. So and I'll be like, can I buy one? And we've just sold out. I really want to buy one of these things. But anyway, so the Carbonaro effect. So he's called Michael Carbonaro.
That's quite interesting, isn't it? Because then there's a difference between if you're at a show and someone's saying, right, I'm a magician, I'm going to do you some magic, as opposed to not that, as you say.
Yeah, really. And they're not guarded. They think they're in the shop to buy something, and they've just seen the most amazing thing they've ever seen in their life. Like, say, a little machine like a little Kinder Egg that lets you travel back in time 5 seconds or something. But he's just playing it off like it's the.
There was a viral video I saw, which I think was quite old, and I can't remember where it is, where this bloke, it's all fixed up, this bloke spills coffee on this woman. She then goes ballistic, and as though she's got superpowers, and he goes like up the wall, and the whole room starts to shake.
It's so good, so that was a viral thing. It was to promote the film Carrie, the Stephen King film, where she can move things with her mind. So they set up hidden cameras in a coffee shop.
That was amazing.
So good. Because
I think that's also a thing. I mean, again, growing up, I grew up with candid camera and all those type of things. So to trick people into believing that they're just in a normal environment, that's quite interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. And like you said, because they're so unguarded, and because normally with magic tricks, even if it's the most amazing thing you've ever seen, because it's a magician, you go, well, don't know how that worked. Very good. But if in your day-to-day life, like you saw a homeless guy levitate off the ground and just disappear, or whatever it is, like you'd think you were going mad. You'd think, oh my God, like, is magic actually, you'd have your brain would have nowhere to go.
But I think that is interesting, taking stuff out of the environment in which you expect it.
Yeah.
Can I ask you about how you got the job with Jude Law? How did that happen?
So that's quite a cool name drop, isn't it? So I do a gig every year for Marcus Mumford from the band Mumford & Sons, who's married to Carey Mulligan, who's a big Hollywood actress. And that came about because years ago, when I was basically living on people's sofas and going out to indie club nights around London, I became friends with the band before they were famous. So I know Mumford & Sons. So anyway, now that they are famous and rich and they have this mad lifestyle, they put on this event, like a fundraiser once a year for the charity War Child. and they invite all of their sort of showbiz friends. So every table is full of the most famous people you've ever seen in your life, which at first is quite intimidating. Now I've done enough of them where I just wander up and it's like, oh, yeah, there's Madonna. Yeah, okay. Steven Spielberg. Yeah, great. So it's absolutely insane. But so I do this event. And one year I turned up and there was a table that was particularly high-powered A-list. It was Jude Law, and there was Dawn French, there was Benedict Cumberbatch, and all these people all around this big circular table. And I performed, but every now and then you'll do a set or a few tricks where, for some reason, you were just really on form, and it really just nailed it. Yeah. And that was one of those times, and everyone was going absolutely crazy. It was a real sort of career highlight. Everyone, honestly, making so much noise. And then I walked away from the table afterwards, and I suddenly thought, oh man, I didn't even give them any business cards. And I thought I've got to. Normally, you don't want to be sort of gauche or whatever. You don't want to be like, and here's how you can. Yeah, but I thought
if you enjoyed the show, and what more?
Exactly, follow me at Pete Heat. But I went and got a stack of business cards from the green room because I thought this is kind of too good to pass up. And I accidentally, on purpose, walked right past their table again, and they were still talking about the tricks. And as I walked past, they went, "Hey, to show something else!" And so I showed them another trick. And at the end of that one, I went, "Oh, by the way, do anyone want a card?" And they all took a business card. One of the people was Dawn French, who then tweeted about me, and I ended up working with her on a couple of things. And one was Jude Law, who maybe about a year later, I was on the sofa with my wife, and my phone started dinging, and we were just trying to have a conversation, and the phone kept dinging, and she's like, "Can you shut your phone up?" And I picked it up. It was Jude Law going, "Oh, you probably don't remember, but you met me at a thing, and basically, would you ever teach magic?" And I didn't say Jude Law, and it just said Jude. And I thought, is this Jude Law? And it turns out it was. And I consulted for him on a theatre thing that he was doing for the National Theatre. Like, one of his co-stars wanted to learn a little flashy card shuffle which would fit with his role.
A bit better than the way I did it.
Well, I mean, let's not be too hard on ourselves. That was excellent. And then he got back in touch when he became Dumbledore. He wanted to learn. He likes to immerse himself in roles. Like, I think, he'll learn, if his character's a musician, he'll learn a bit of the instrument, or he's sort of a bit method in that way, I guess. And basically, he wanted to learn a bit of magic. And there's a scene where he makes this sort of business card appear, and he gives it to Newt Scamander, one of the characters, and he keeps handing it back, and he keeps making this card reappear and giving it to, and he wanted to actually be able to make the card appear. And so I taught him that, and I taught him a couple of other things. And he's lovely as well, and really enthusiastic, and a real fast learner, which helps. And I think, again, that's one of those moments that, talking about making it into a career, he went on the Graham Norton show and talked about me by name, which was
did he?
Yeah, which was absolutely incredible. You can
by name.
I'll send you the clip if you want. You can edit it in. But he goes, "I was at this charity do, and there was a magician there." I mean, again, he looks down the lens and he goes, "A really tall guy called Pete Heat, a brilliant magician, by the way." And he does this and really clearly spells out my name. And I got so much work from that and so many bookings from that, because
it is amazing. Yes,
the power of that endorsement.
Yeah,
and that kind of literally put my fees up for, and they still are at the higher rate, because people expect, oh well, Jude Law we're talking about, and it's going to be expensive. But so anyway, so that was a really not only really good thing to happen, just because it's just nice to feel like you're doing quite exciting stuff, but just literally just helped my career out massively.
Can I just ask you one thing, which I asked some of the other performers? Do you ever aspire to be famous?
The short answer is yeah, really. I think,
good for you.
Yeah.
Most people sort of burble on about not, but actually yes.
Yeah, I think in the performing arts, fame is a barometer of success. So it's not necessarily that you. Well, I don't want to get bothered when I'm going shopping. It's not like
you can't have both, though, can you?
Yeah, no, exactly. So, but I suppose when you're rich enough, you can
get someone else to do
close down Harrods for me. I'm going in on my own. But no, I don't mean it would definitely be really annoying at times. But equally, anyone who has achieved like the highest level of success in any performing or creative field, they're famous, because that's how it works.
Does it though?
Because I think so.
No, only because it's not necessarily a direct corollary between certainly how good you are and how famous you are.
No, not how good you are. So ideally, I think I would like to be doing very well-attended sort of theatre shows. I'd love to have my own TV special or series.
And then that would all be easier if you were famous.
And also, even if I wasn't famous, but I had a TV special, then I would be famous.
Then you would be
of it.
famous.
So I think
Okay.
ultimately, yeah. And also, I mean, these guys have it easy. But like, apart from the stuff where you get stalkers and all the weird stuff, like they get a lot of money. Companies falling over themselves to give you free stuff. I mean, why wouldn't you want it? I know that people think, well, I don't.
No, I think that's very honest.
Yeah.
I think just most people pretend that they don't.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm into the art.
Yeah, well, I am into
you
the
are
art, and I
into
do
it.
love magic, but also because I know that my friends will listen to this, and I know that if I'd have said no, they'd be
No,
like,
no.
"What's this
That's okay.
about?"
He's lying.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
lying. We know he wants to be famous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Great. Well, Pete, thank you. This has been awesome.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Really enjoyed this podcast,
Oh, me too.
and hopefully we'll see you again soon. So, thank you everyone who has listened to this episode. If you want to learn more about Pete and where he's performing, if you want to know about future episodes, you want to comment on this episode, or want to find out about the future live shows we hope to be putting on with some of the acts that you'll have heard, do visit our social media on @Variety Podcast Official, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and look forward to seeing you all at the next one. My name is Adam Sternberg.